By the time I get to 60, I'd like to probably hang up my trading boots. That will mark over 40 years in the industry, and I'm really desperate to leave behind a legacy and leave something that I'm incredibly proud of. Surround yourself with people that are better than you, and I'm fortunate that I have a lot of people that are far better than me. I don't know whether they'll still be in the game in 5 years' time. Trade Nation will. Trade Nation is here for the long term. If you're going to be a successful trader, you need to have a fair platform to trade on.
Welcome to another episode of No Shortcuts to Success. This week I'm joined by the CEO of Trade Nation, Stu Lane. He's going to be giving me the goss on how he got into the industry, as well as some tips and tricks for those who may be seasoned or those who may be fresh to everything trading. So enjoy. Joining me on another episode of No Shortcuts to Success is the CEO himself. Hi, Stu.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Nice. Well, we're very happy to have you because I think that everything evolves really around the things that you've been doing here at Trade Nation. So thank you very much for taking the time to come and join us.
Pleasure.
I just want to know a little bit about you before we talk about Trade Nation, though. So who are you in terms of family and where do you come from? Just give me a bit of background about yourself.
Okay, so grew up in Essex. Born and bred Romford.
Yeah, nice.
Romford boy. Moved to Surrey when I got married. We got 3 kids.
Nice.
I got twin girls of 19 and a son of 20, all at university at the moment.
Oh.
So and we live in Epsom.
Okay, nice, really sweet. But talk to me about what you were like in school, because with trading and everything to do with finance always on the cards for you. What were you like in school?
No, I was very poor at school. Didn't enjoy school at all. Didn't really achieve very much at school, unfortunately. I was more interested in playing cards. Maybe there was an inkling there somewhere around trading and risk taking, and I wanted to be involved in a bit of speculation. So, started my career in insurance. Left school 86. Wow. You weren't even born then, so don't upset me. I left school in 86 and went to work at an insurance company.
Wow.
Very soon after joining, I realised that people don't retire in insurance. They tend to pass away. The man sat behind me was 75 years old and still going.
Gosh.
So I thought, you know what, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah.
And those were the days. It was fantastic. You could just walk down the high street, walk into a job agency and just say, got anything going? And this guy said to me, are you interested in gambling? I said, yeah, quite like gambling. So they introduced me to a company called City Index, which was one of 2 spread betting companies offering sports betting and financial trading back in 1988. There was only 2, City Index and IG.
Wow.
We're both still around now, which is great. I joined them in 88. And so I've been doing this weird and wonderful industry ever since. And 5th of May 1988 was when I started. So it'll be 34 years next month that I've been doing this.
Wow.
So
You've been in the game for a long time. I'm excited. I'm really excited to pick your brain. I'm going to throw at you all of my questions that I just think, if I had someone like you, this is the thing that I would love to know. So I'm going to get to Trade Nation. But what is the difference between gambling and trading then?
It's a good question, actually. So we see very different behaviours when it comes to gambling and to trading. Good traders are certainly not gamblers. They understand the risks that are involved. Gambling is often considered to be fun, something you do at the weekends. It's interesting because most people that you'll speak to will have a view. We had the Grand National on Saturday. Yeah. And people will have had a bet, whether or not they know anything about horse racing, whether you just stuck a pin in it or whether you actually followed a bit of the form. But gambling tends to be seen as more recreational, a little bit more fun, having a bet on the football, watching the footy. Whereas the financial markets, certainly when I started, the only people really that were trading the financial markets were people in the city, in the square mile, because they were the only people that had access to the information.
Right.
Now it's a completely different world and it's changed just beyond belief from what I was used to when I started.
Yeah. So why set up Trade Nation then? What was your purpose behind it?
So having been in the industry for 34 years, I was given the opportunity to join Trade Nation 7 years ago. It'll be 8 years in August. And it was, I loved the vision of the business. The business was to try and do things differently. Now that's tough. A lot of people come out and say, we're going to do things differently. And, it's a very competitive marketplace.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate your offering from everybody else? We have a wonderful team of people that look after our customers in an incredible way. But even that, everybody's out there saying, we offer wonderful customer service. We really look after our customers. There's not a company in the world that says, no, we don't treat people very well.
Yeah, you're going to say that.
Yeah. So how do you really differentiate yourselves? So we decided to look at the way that pricing works and the way that charging for trading works. And we are differentiating ourselves from the rest of the sector by doing just that. So yeah, it's a real passion of mine. 52 now. By the time I get to 60, I'd like to probably hang up my trading boots. That will mark over 40 years in the industry. And I'm really desperate to leave behind a legacy and leave something that I'm incredibly proud of. And so far, we're on the right tracks. There's a long way to go. But it's an exciting journey.
Yeah, there's so many stories here that I want to unpick your brains about, because I think in the last couple of years, especially over the pandemic, everyone has thought, well, it's online. It's so accessible. It's so easy to do. But can you break down what trading is? What is it? Because like you said, you've got putting a bet on a horse versus you're talking about clients and customers and making sure people are looked after. So what is trading at its bare bones? What is it? It's
backing your view on a direction of a financial market. Now, there are hundreds of markets to choose from. And, we talk about sport and betting on sport. The good professional gamblers will really study and understand the sport that they're betting on.
Right.
They won't just sit there and go, there's a race on this afternoon, I'll have a bet on that. It's very calculated in the way that they do things. And the successful traders are very much the same way. They study, they look at the market, they decide what they're interested in, first of all. So many markets to choose from. Are you interested in currencies? Do you like the US markets? Do you like commodities? Do you like shares? So find the area you're most interested in and then do a little bit of research around it. Understand the markets you're trading in. But in its raw form, it's for the first time, well, not the first time, but in the last few years, we're giving access to more and more individuals around the world to the financial markets.
Yeah.
And that's something when I first started, just wasn't
available.
Heard of. No,
yeah.
we did everything on the phones. God, I'm going to sound really old now. Everything was on the phones. We used to write out trade tickets.
Yeah.
Everything was inputted manually. And it wasn't until sort of the tech boom that we saw, the tech bubble back in 99, 2000, that suddenly we were able to give clients and customers access to the markets online. And it just reinvented our space. It changed the way we were working.
Yeah.
And that was a great time. Massive changes, but you go from picking up the phone and speaking to people on a daily basis to now not really knowing who your customers are.
Yeah.
And that's the tough bit. When you go move online, how do you keep that connection with your customer?
Yeah.
And that's a challenge for all firms that are operating online. I'm not saying we get it right every time, but we learn as we go. Yeah.
And how do you get that right then? How do you keep your engagement, your connection with someone who is online?
Listen to what your customers want.
Yeah.
34 years in this industry, and the one thing that I've really learned is never assume you know what the customer wants.
Yeah.
Because the market is changing. You made reference there to the pandemic. And the way that the market changed in those 2 years was phenomenal. Everybody had access. Everybody was working from home. More time on their hands, perhaps a little bit more disposable income because people weren't traveling and spending money, going into town.
Yeah.
And so, the market really opened up. And as well, it was in the news. That's the thing I love about the financial markets. They're always in the news. So it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. There's always a story that's going to affect a market. Yeah. And that's something that is very appealing, I think, for traders around the world. It doesn't sleep. There's always something to look at, whether it be oil or gold or the US markets or the dollar. Whatever it might be, there is something that's gonna keep you interested. Yeah, I want to speak to the people who actually trade now. I want to know, what's been your biggest win? Because that must be really thrilling, isn't it? When you've put something down, you think, I know this is going to come off, and then it has come through. Have you got a story that's just like, I know I trusted my gut and I went for it and it paid off? So, as CEO, I don't actually trade with our company.
Okay.
I have traded before, but there's a lot going on in my life.
Yeah.
Again, you've got to be disciplined and committed if you're going to be trading. So I tend not to trade too much now. But in the past, I've worked with and had customers who have won crazy amounts of money. They have. But with all of this success, there are stories of people that have not been successful. So I think it's important that you don't get carried away with the success stories. Tomorrow night tonight there'll be a Euro Millions draw, and somebody might win that 64 million or whatever the jackpot is.
Right. But
there will also be tens of millions of people who win nothing. Yeah. So we need to be very careful and considered about talking about these. You'll read stories and you'll go online and you'll see people saying, I won hundreds of thousands of pounds from a £10 trade. As with all of these things, if it's too good to be true, quite often it is. So do your homework with this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to come to the loss side of things as well. But I think it's important because that's the pull in this industry. It seems as though people are making loads of money and people are not boastful about it, but you see what people buy, you see the lifestyles that people live, and trading seems like a really easy route in. And so how do you weigh that up with the balance then of, no, there's also some huge risks involved. There's some huge ways in which you could lose everything. So if there is a thin line of gambling as well, is it worth trading?
I think it is worth trading, absolutely. It's something that you go into with open eyes. You mentioned there about lifestyles and looking at people who have been successful in trading.
Yeah.
Have they? Or have they just rented a Ferrari for a day and are sitting on top of it telling you how
do you know?
Well, exactly. How do you know? There is a lot of information out there. We could sit there and scroll through YouTube all day long and, what's the secrets to the market? Well, I can tell you there isn't one. Because if there is one, why would they share it with you? If you had the secret to making gold, would you be telling me how to make gold? No, absolutely not. You'd be holding that secret forever, passing it on to your trusted family and sitting on a beach somewhere and enjoying whatever it is. So, I think that there is a degree of, you got to be really careful by just sort of plunging in and going, wow, look, this guy drives a Ferrari. He must be really good at trading. Not always the case. So, definitely worth doing the homework. All that glitters is not gold.
Yeah.
And, I think that's the biggest challenge our industry has at the moment. The way that things are marketed around trading, whether it be cryptos or NFTs is the new thing that everyone's talking about. And people do get sucked in. And it's easy to do. We've got cost of living rising dramatically in this country at the moment. People are looking for additional revenue and you get drawn into things where, you can make easy money trading. There is no easy money to be made trading. Absolutely not. There is no easy money, because if there was, I wouldn't be sitting here. There are a lot of people out there that have been successful, but there are also a lot of people that have been drawn in and caught out by scams. Maybe is too much of a strong word, but certainly some dubious individuals who are selling a dream, and
it's not paid off at all.
Paid off,
no, it's so true. And from the guests that we've had on this podcast so far, everyone is so measured about it, and that's what I'm really enjoying about hosting this podcast, is to hear the stories of, the highs of highs, but also some of the lows as well. And you mentioned there that when you were younger, it wasn't as accessible. It was the trading market was held by a few individuals in a certain place, in a certain location. And now you're seeing, we want to make it accessible. We want to open it up. And you mentioned about a good trader. So for those who are listening, I'm measured, I'm working hard. I'm not taking any shortcuts to success. What defines then a good trader?
One word, discipline. It's very easy to get into a situation where, and we all do it.
Yeah.
The weather will be better tomorrow. Yeah. Things will be better tomorrow. And a trade that I've got on is not going right, but it'll be all right tomorrow. And we start to lose a discipline. We start to look at things in a different way. So one of a technical term within trading is to have a stop loss. So a stop loss is the point where you say, enough's enough. If I've got this wrong, I don't want to take any more risk. Now, leaving a stop loss is very important. And you leave it at a price or a level that you're happy with.
Yeah.
So that's the amount of risk I want to take. The moment you start looking at that stop loss and thinking, oh, I think I'll just move that because I think the market's going to turn for me, is normally where we start seeing problems occur. People lose their discipline. They start to trade markets that they don't really understand. Oh, there's a massive move in silver today. Oh, is there? Oh, okay, I better trade silver. Do you know anything about silver? Do you know how that market moves? Do you know what could happen? And these are the mistakes that clients make and customers make around the world. So having that discipline is so very important. Work out your trading plan. I know it sounds boring and everyone goes, oh, I don't want to trading, but work out what your trading plan is. How much do you want to risk? How much are you prepared to, to stake each time you are trading, and stick to it. Stick to it, because that's the way you'll become successful. But also be realistic. The best fund managers in the world maybe return 20, 25% on your capital. These are the guys that are at the top of their game. So if you're putting £1,000 into a trading account and you're looking to return 25%, that's £1,250 that you'll end up with. So it's £250 that you'll make. Yeah. There's too many people, I think, that come into this going, I'm going to put £1,000 in and I'm going to retire on it. Yes, it's possible. But equally, I'll probably buy 5 lucky dips on the way home. And it is possible that I might end up with the 64 million. Likelihood is I won't. So be realistic in what your aims are and what your targets are. Yes, there is good income to be made, but stay disciplined, stay focused, choose a market you really like, you're really passionate about and you want to read about. And that's a really good starting point.
No, that's really good advice. Loads of people who we've had already have just said, I have come into this and I've learned how to do it because their actual industry, whether that's athletics or whether that was photography, there's so many parallels there between not taking any shortcuts, because you realize, if I take this shortcut, it's actually going to not do me any good later on down the line. So what is something that is quite common within trading that people think, if I just cut this corner, it will do well for me, and it never happens to be the case?
Yeah, I think the temptation is when markets are volatile, and we're seeing a great deal of volatility at the moment because of what's going on in the world. The temptation is to try and jump in and see how much money you could make. Yeah. So one of the shortcuts that we see is people don't adjust their trading style when things get volatile. So you've made your trading plan and you've got your plan. Everything's there, and you said that you're going to risk 10 points or 20 points or whatever it might be for every trade. Now, in extremely volatile markets, that needs to be adjusted. So you need to look again at how much you're prepared to risk and adjust how far away your stop loss is. Now, by doing that, you have to adjust how much you're going to trade, because otherwise you're risking too much. So one of the things that we see in terms of people looking for shortcuts is, wow, great volatility, I need to get in on this. Yes, volatility creates opportunity, but it also increases risk. So you've got to understand how you're going to manage your risk in those times. Yeah.
And what does your family think? Like, is anyone else in trading? Because I know my family would be like, no, you go do your job, you earn the money that you get from your paycheck, you pay your bills, you pay your rent, you put food on the table, and if you have £10 left, you go to the cinema. But you don't do gambling or any sort of thing. So what does your family think? Or are people aware of trading in your family? That was an easy jump for you to then be in this industry.
Certainly not aware when I first started. There was a few eyebrows raised around the dinner table as to, you're doing what? But yeah, they're more familiar with it now. They take more of an interest. I don't think any of them are traders. In fact, I'm pretty sure none of them are. But if they are, then great. It's as I say, when I first had that conversation about the industry I was going into, I'll be honest with you. Yeah. Starting in 1988, when I did, I never dreamt that I'd still be here, still doing this fantastic job. Yeah. And it is fantastic. It has, like any job, some highs and some lows, but the way that the industry is changing, the way that the markets are moving, and the way that more and more people are engaged with our product, it's exciting. There's a responsibility for the industry to make sure that we get this right, and that we don't put people at risk. And I know the regulators are very, very keen on that, and it's something that I absolutely wholeheartedly back and agree with. It's important. We talked about YouTube and the power of online advertising, Instagram. I don't do Instagram, but I was told the other day, I had my Facebook account. I was told by my kids that that's just, so old now, so outdated. But, you look at the power of advertising on TikTok and things like this. And we've got to be careful that we don't end up getting the wrong audience for our product, because there is risk. There is risk, and people need to understand that. Yeah,
absolutely. And I've read something that you said before about fail faster. Sometimes you don't want to fail. You don't want to have that. But what do you mean when you say fail faster? Because in this industry, I'm guessing there are some huge risks that could be on someone's plate. And if you think, why would someone tell me to fail faster? I don't want to fail at all. So what do you mean by it?
Yeah, unfortunately, we will all fail. Whatever we're doing, we'll always fail. And it's how you learn from that failure. And that's what fail faster is all about. It's not repeating those mistakes. And it's very easy to do so. It's taking a step back. Okay, why didn't that work out? What went wrong? How do I stop that happening again next time? And the quicker that you learn those lessons, the less chance you have of repeating them.
Yeah. Have you had a chance where in life, separate to trading, there's been a real parallel with, I actually failed at this. I didn't succeed in the way that I'd hoped to or thought I would. And it's told you, actually, I need to then take that into work. And sometimes life has that brilliant way of showing us something that is separate to something else, but still learning the same lesson. So have you had a big L that you've taken that's become your greatest lesson in life?
Wow, how long have you got? Don't think we've got long enough to go through all my failures. I guess, when you look at things, I'm passionate about sport and golf in particular, as most of the people at Trade Nation will say. Oh God, he's off on golf again. It is a passion of mine, but it's interesting how your emotions can run away with you when you're playing golf, particularly in a competition. And you're sort of nearing the end of the round. You've got a good round going and your mind starts leaping ahead. You're sort of thinking, so if I can just do this on this hole and this hole and this, and you forget to take every shot as it comes. And that can happen in trading. You sit there and you think, whoa, if this keeps going like this, I could buy myself a new car. That's the point when it comes and bites you.
Yeah.
So that's something definitely that I've learned, don't get too far ahead of yourself. Live in the now. Think about the moment as it is and manage that moment in time. It's too easy to get yourself ahead and start thinking, picturing myself with a trophy that I've won the tournament, and before you know it, you've made mistakes on a golf course. Well, the same can happen in trading. We get too far ahead of ourselves, get excited about a trade that's winning, and you start dreaming about that villa that you want in, wherever it might be. And then these things have a habit of turning around and biting you hard.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose that comes back to discipline, doesn't it? And being disciplined across all areas of life. But one shortcut I think people sometimes take is, I often meet people who say, I haven't got a select few of friends. I've got a huge network, but I don't often have a good group of people around me. Do you have a good people around you, not just to do with trading or to do with work, but who are your homies? Who are your people that you just keep in touch with? Because I'm guessing it can be a lonely job, but also if you've got good people around you to bounce ideas, that's also going to be a gem. So have you got good people around you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. My family and my rock.
Yeah.
My wife puts up with so much. But yeah, she's somebody that I can always talk to and, bounce things off and just, have those general chats about things that are, causing you, the angst at work or wherever it might be. And yeah, I've got a great group of friends, most of them golfers. But yeah, within the industry, we've because we've grown up together.
Yeah.
I still talk, one of my best friends is a CEO of another rival company. But the closeness that we all have, because we've all grown up together and we've all worked together, there's a lot of trust there and a lot of confidence in, the kind of things that we do.
When you look at your life now and as the CEO of Trade Nation and you think about your younger self, was there anything along your way where you doubted yourself, and do you still doubt yourself today?
Yeah, it's certainly doubted myself on the way through. It's an incredible journey, and anytime you're sort of starting work at a young age, it's a bit daunting. Less so now, actually. It feels that, the confidence of young people when they come into the company is amazing. And I love it. and it brings a lot of energy. Back when I started, it was a different kind of atmosphere, and you were, sat in the corner and, occasionally asked to make the tea or whatever it might be. But no, I never ever envisaged getting to this position. I'll be honest with you. As I say, I wasn't particularly academic at school, but I've worked hard. I've been very committed to the job, and I've worked with some fantastic people. That's the key. Surround yourself with people that are better than you, and I'm fortunate that I have a lot of people that are far better than me. So yeah, it makes my job far easier.
Yeah, always learning, isn't it? There's always something to learn and to do next. And I guess that is the maybe the facade of a CEO, that you just sit back, you kick back, you don't need to do anything because you got to the top now. But what does hard work look like at a CEO level?
Yeah, that's a good question. You tend to sort of stress about lots of things. I'm not very good at managing my stress levels. I tend to get a bit wrapped up in things. It's about trusting the team. And as the team has grown, I think we have that now. We've got a really good set of management or the management team who are really confident in what they're doing. And they in turn are building good teams around them. But yeah, in terms of my day, I'm a creature of habit. So I used to run trading desks. So I used to sit on the trading desk and manage risk. So my day used to start at 5:30 when I used to get up to travel into London, and I can't break that habit at the moment. So 5:30 I'm up, and some of the team will say, they'll see emails or messages from me at sort of, some ungodly hour. But it's also, it's wanting to know what the markets are doing, having that passion to see where the markets are trading, what's gone on overnight, what's in the news, what could be the new flavour of the day. 34 years in, and I still learn new stuff every week. Yeah, we've seen market behaviour that I've never seen before, and all the oldies all sit there and look at each other and go, I didn't think that could happen. And it's and that's what keeps you coming back. It's that that passion for the financial markets, for what goes on in the world. But also seeing the direction this industry is going, because it's been a fascinating journey so far. Yeah,
absolutely. Before I ask you how you switch off, and you can't say golf because you said golf already.
Right, okay.
But are you is one of the biggest risks of trading, risking your mental capacity? Because if you cannot switch off, you're always following something, you're always watching the markets. How on earth then do you switch off? Is it possible if you go into this trading life?
It is, but that's a really, really good point. There are lots of ways to do or get involved in trading without sitting in front of a screen for 15 hours.
Oh, for goodness sake. Yeah, exactly.
There are some people that do that, and some people that like that. There's also ways of managing your risk and managing your trades. So the great thing about trading online now is you don't need to phone me up and ask, or the trading desk and ask to put a trade on. You're doing everything online, which means you can set the point where you want to enter the market. You can set the point where you want to exit for a profit, and you can set the point where you want to exit for a loss. You can put all of that into your computer before you leave for work or before you sit down and have breakfast, and you can then just spend the rest of the day doing whatever you need to do. There is this, sometimes I think, a misunderstanding that trading needs to be your full attention 24 hours a day. It doesn't. Yes, be aware of what's going on in the market. But if you've got your trading plan in place, you can do this without absorbing the rest of your life. Yeah. So yeah, that's important. Yeah. How do I switch off?
Yeah. What do you do? And switch off in the sense of phone is off, like.
Oh, that never happens.
Yes, I do ever switch off then.
Never ever happens. No, you can speak to my wife and my kids. Last year they threatened, I think it was a year before when we went away, they threatened to lock the phone in the safe between the hours of 8 and 5.
Your heart must be like, no.
Oh, it was. I was very worried about this. They didn't follow through with that on the basis that I was, not answering emails. But I've never put my out of office on in 8 years, which is not good. Someone joked the other day, do you actually know where it is?
Yeah, but these things are not good, and yet you don't do them.
No, I know.
So how do you justify that then?
No, I can't. I can't justify it at all. I need to work harder at this.
So you don't switch off, really?
Well, yeah, holidays are important. Yeah. Holidays have always been important for us. And as a family, Canary Islands, Fuerteventura in particular. Yeah, lovely. My father-in-law used to live there, and we spent many a happy year there. So we're going back there in August, and it's a place of great memories. So yeah, I do switch off, but maybe not 100%.
Yeah, well, I love the honesty, because it doesn't really matter what industry you are someone about. If you love the thing that you love to do, it's hard, isn't it? It almost becomes your right hand, but you know your limits. And again, it goes back to discipline of, no, this is overboard now. This is where I've got to draw the line in the sand. And I think so much of that comes from you, which then filters out into Trade Nation. And that is what really gives me the confidence to think, oh, actually, everyone who's an ambassador, anyone who I've spoken to, they know the difference between, yes, I'm at work now, and then I'm off and I have to switch off. So with everything that's online, with everything that is accessible, what would stand out for you as someone to say, okay, I'm going to come alongside you and learn, but also grow in the trading industry with you guys?
It's a really, really good question. There's so many competitors out there. When I first started the market, as I said, there was only 2 firms.
Yeah.
Now we've got...
It's true, only 2.
Only two.
Wow.
And they were both based in the UK.
Yeah.
Suddenly we've seen this explosion in growth, and there's now hundreds of firms vying for your business, trying to get you to trade with them. So why should you choose Trade Nation? What makes us different? Well, that's a good question that people will look at, and they'll say, well, why you and not one of the other firms that are advertising very heavily? And there are millions of pounds being spent on marketing. Now, at the beginning, we talked about the differentiation of what makes Trade Nation the company you should trade with, and it is around that consistency of price. Now, I'm going to touch on this and explain why that's so very important for a trader. So imagine you are in Pretz. We're all queuing up for a sandwich, and everybody is buying tuna baguettes, and there's a queue of 10 people, and it's priced at £2.35. It's probably well out now. It's probably I'm probably miles out. But
probably 20 in the queue for £2.35.
Yeah. So everyone's queuing out. So the first 5 people get a bite at £2.35, and then suddenly Pretz realises there's a bit of demand for this. So they're going to increase the price. So person 6, they're going to try and charge £2.70. Person 7, £3. Person 8, £3.50. Right the way to where you are at the back of the queue, and now you're going to have to pay £5.
Yeah. Not
fair. That's not fair. Just because there was demand or a bit of volatility, as we call it, we could call it volatility in tuna baguettes, they've raised the price.
Yeah.
Now, what we're finding is that there are lots of providers that will advertise these incredibly cheap rates. So £2.35, going back to your baguette, well, that's a great deal. But when you actually come to buy, the price is very different. Now, when you're trading, that can make a huge difference to your profitability or even your ability to win at trading. So if you're placing a trade and you'll see adverts out there with spreads from 0, what does that mean? Well, it means that they're not going to charge you anything to place the trade. That's incredible. I must trade with them. The key word there is from. Spreads from 0. It's like our friends at Ryanair or EasyJet, flights from $29.99, and you find out, there's one seat, it's leaving at midnight in the middle of November, and you don't get any luggage with it. Exactly. But you still go through the process, and you end up spending, £100 on a flight, thinking, but you were drawn in by the $29.99. In the same way, people are drawn in by the spreads from 0. Wow, that's amazing. What happens when it gets volatile is that these firms will see their spreads increase. So you may have started off with a trade, placing one at 0, but when you come to exit, it could be 50, 100 points wide. That's the how quickly these markets can move and how quickly your charge can change.
Right.
So you can go from a profitable trade, sitting there dreaming about how you're going to spend it, going to your cinema or whatever you might be doing, to suddenly you've made a loss because they've changed the price or changed their way that they charge. It's, we ran an advertising campaign a few years ago with a pool table, and there's an easy pot over the middle pocket. And as the player hits the ball, the pocket moves. Well, it's not fair when somebody changes the rules halfway through the game. And that's what these firms are doing. So this is where Trade Nation is different. The rules don't change. The rules stay the same. So our price on a particular market, let's pick the S&P. We have a spread or a charge of 0.14. Now, that sounds a bit technical, but that's the difference between the price that you can sell at and the price that you can buy at.
Right.
Irrespective of what happens in the market this afternoon, Our price stays at that level, 0.14. Now, our other competitors, if the market gets volatile, and at the moment it's very volatile, they may start off the same price at us, but they will gradually increase that charge. And as you're trading, the more you pay, the less chance you've got of being successful. End of. Doesn't matter which way you look at it, the more that you pay to trade, the less chance you have of winning.
Right.
And if you're not trading with somebody that offers consistency, we call it fixed spreads. Now, to most people, it doesn't mean much. And we need to do more to educate people as to what is a fixed spread.
Yeah.
But that means that your charges won't change when you're trading.
Yeah.
If you've got that consistency of pricing and of charging, gives you a much better chance of being successful.
It's a no-brainer then, really, isn't it? It's like...
I would like to think so.
Yeah.
But we're up against some stiff opposition in terms of big marketing budgets. People get drawn in by the bright lights and the shiny. It's like anything, if there's a showroom of a car showroom as you walk down the street, your head will be drawn by the one that says 0% finance.
Yeah.
There'll be a little star underneath and it will explain why that's not for everybody. So, I think it's an easy thing. We go back to the shortcuts.
Yeah.
You get drawn in with the shortcut of, well, if I'm not paying very much to trade, I will be more successful. Right. True. Can't argue with that. But you're not going to be consistently paying a small amount to trade.
And you're really hot on fairness. Why does that really strike a chord with you?
It comes back to, if you're going to be a successful trader, you need to have a fair platform to trade on. You need to know that your trades, and when you're trading with your broker, that everything is on a level playing field. We go back to changing the rules of the game halfway through. It's not fair. So that's not something that we will ever do. Fairness is so very important. Again, it's one of those throwaway statements, and that the people go, "Oh, great customer service and we're fair." Well, I would expect everyone to be. Not always the case. Yeah. Trade Nation's different.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much. So many gems. We've had so many people come through on this podcast, and so many of them have been ambassadors right here at Trade Nation. So why are you keen to get ambassadors of the company as well?
It comes back to that mantra of there are no shortcuts to success. We're working with some amazing people. You look at someone like Max Whitlock, how many hours does he spend training? So how many hours does he spend in the gym? How many hours does he spend on that pommel horse just perfecting his routine? Yeah. And it's a great message to be working with such elite sportsmen who have worked so incredibly hard to get to the top. It's, the hours that they've spent doing that is incredible. Now, I'm not saying that you have to spend that level of dedication, but what we're trying to get across is that these people have been successful through hard work and through discipline. We come back to the trading plan. I know everyone like, trading plan against you. But we come back to that trading plan. It's Imagine important. Max walking out to the pommel horse. He's on his way out and he thinks, you know what, I'm going to try a different dismount this week. This is a gold medal, scenario, and he just thinks he's going to try a different dismount. Absolutely not.
And he veers away from the plan.
He would never dream of it.
Right.
He's got a plan of what he's going to do, and he will execute that. It's almost, he's not even thinking. It's so ingrained into that routine. So you're about to go into a trade, and I think I'm going to try trading wheat. Why? Have you ever traded it before? No, but I thought I'd just try something different. Yeah. Crazy. And in the same way that our ambassadors and who we work with, and we work with some amazing teams as well. We've been working with Somerset over the last couple of years. What an incredible cricket club they are. The energy down there. We've had some fantastic days and nights down there with the team. But again, just the passion they've got for their sport, the passion that they have for their customers, their supporters, it makes it a great partnership that we have with them. So it's one of those areas that it was interesting. When sports people are associated with gambling firms, at the moment there's a bit of news about that, where the Gambling Commission is going to stop that happening, right? Because they feel that it gives the wrong message, that you're encouraging younger people who maybe idolize these individuals. We're not doing that. that's not the purpose of our partnership and ambassador program. It's to demonstrate that with hard work, you can be successful. And we've got some great examples of people that we've worked with, like Max and Holly. And I think Holly's doing a podcast with you soon. That will be fantastic to hear. But yeah, that's hardworking people who have been successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to ask you very soon about the vision, the long-term vision here at Trade Nation. But I guess the question I want to know is, as CEO, are you happy? Because I think for someone like myself who's young and thinking, oh my gosh, the world says if you have all the money in the world, if you have the dream job, if you got it all, you'll be satisfied, you'll be happy. And then you see people and you don't always know if that is the case. And I think what is really key is what you said before, but I didn't have this all growing up. I worked really hard to get here. And so you can relate in that instance as well. So my first question before we get to vision then is, are you happy as a CEO?
Yes, I am happy. You're always going to have tough moments in whatever job you're doing. But I'm blessed and very fortunate to have been in this industry for as long as I have. And yeah, I am happy. I am happy. It's my face might not show it all the time, as some people will attest to in the business and at home. But yes, I'm happy and feel very fortunate that I've had this career. So like I'm hanging up my boots, which I'm not.
No, you've got a couple more years in you for sure.
But yeah, I feel very fortunate, and I think what keeps you going is the people around you and the team around you. You know, as a CEO, the one thing that I've really learned is listen to the people that you work with and be patient, and try to stay focused. That's the most difficult thing I've found, particularly as the industry has really exploded over the last few years. Your head gets turned. What are they doing? Why are they doing that? And should we be doing that?
Yeah.
You've got to try, it comes back to your trading.
Yeah.
You've got to try and stay on the path that you know is going to be the right one. Might take a little bit longer to get there. But as we say, there's no shortcuts. No shortcuts at all. That's so refreshing, so refreshing, because otherwise you think, are we always chasing? Is there a point where you can get into life or all your career and just be happy with what you're doing? So thank you for that. So what's the vision then? Where are we going? What are you expecting to do or hoping to do? One in the short-term future, but also in the long-term future here at Trade Nation. Yeah, we've got a plan for the business. We know where we want to get to. At the moment, we have 4 licenses, and licenses allow you to do business in certain areas. So we're very proud of our licenses. We guard them with our lives. We are very proud to be regulated by the FCA, ASIC in Australia. We have South African license and a Bahamas license, and we're looking to extend that. So more of the same. We're probably looking to get we will be getting a European license this year. Nice. And so more expansion for the firm, but expanding in the right way. And that's the tricky bit. Again, not being swayed and having your head turned by other things. So, in terms of the short term, we've got some new hires coming in. We're hiring quite aggressively this year. Nice. So we're moving from a team of around 60 in London up to 85 is the plan by the end of the year. So some great things that are happening within the company. Yeah, it's a big change. More of the same in terms of the messaging, consistency around what we're trying to do. Yeah. That's the key. If you're consistent and you keep talking about that message, and you're going to keep hearing me saying how important fixed spreads are and how important it is if you're going to be a trader that you use these fixed charges. Yeah. I'm going to sound like a stuck record until the day I eventually hang up my boots, but it's so important. So, I think we're fortunate. We work with an amazing owner. The owner of our company is so very passionate and supportive of what we're doing. And he's giving us lots of opportunity to grow the business. So, more of the same. There will be a few new opportunities for us to continue to get our message out. We're looking forward to working with some new partners, raising the profile of the company. It's hard, when you're a relatively small business in a very big pond, where there are lots and lots of competitors who have very big budgets to throw around. I don't know whether they'll still be in the game in 5 years' time.
That's a good question.
Trade Nation will. Trade Nation is here for the long term. It will be here long after I'm gone.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not dying, but just, it'll be here long after I'm gone. But it's, it will be, it's a company that we've got great confidence in. And it's something that we're going to, continue to build on. We're proud of the successes we've had so far. But like anything, you can't just sit there and sit back and go, right, we're done.
Yeah.
There's always something to do.
Okay, let's really get to know you now in a quick fire round. So, best thing that you've watched on TV?
Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive. Oh, good answer. Best album?
Oh, goodness me. I'm going to really show my age now. Genesis. By Genesis.
Oh, Genesis by Genesis. Well,
no, I think I really have. You showed your age now. I was like, who are they? Yeah.
I don't know. Your go-to Deliveroo order?
Kebab.
Kebab?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Biggest fear?
Flying. Hate flying.
Really?
Absolutely hate flying.
But you travel so much.
I try and avoid it where I can.
All right, okay. Guilty pleasure?
Benidorm, the TV program. Yeah, absolutely.
Not to fly to Benidorm.
No, absolutely love it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's just wrong, but I love it.
Favorite Disney film?
Aladdin.
We are people, We are actually good people. Okay. If not trading, what would you be doing?
I would be running fishing trips for tourists in Fuerteventura.
Nice, really good.
Yeah, quite exact. Yeah. Not that I'm dreaming of that at all, but yeah.
Very particular right now, yeah. Best advice you've ever been given?
Best advice, actually from my mum.
No.
So the whole relationship, marriage and all of that puzzled me for years. And my mum always said to me, you'll know when you meet the right person. And I had no idea what that meant, but she was right.
Oh, favourite thing about your wife?
Sorry?
Favourite thing about your wife?
My favourite thing about my wife? Oh, God. Is this going out, isn't it? Right, okay.
We'll really get to know you now.
Really should have been spontaneous, a bit more there. Her support and her patience for me when I'm a grumpy old what's it.
What motivates you the most?
Happiness of my family. Holidays. They tend to go hand in hand. Yeah. So we talked about not switching off earlier on, but that's the best chance I have of actually spending a bit of quality time with them. Yeah. So, nice.
And of all the traits that could define you, which one defines you best?
I'm trusting. Trusting. That's the one I'd probably say. But yeah, I like to think I'm patient and a good listener. Yeah. That's important. Whenever you're working with other people, always listen. And make sure you really listen and not just, which is very easy to do. It does make a difference. Yeah, big time. Oh, Stu, thank you so much. I love you even more now. This is such a good quick fire round. Thank you so much. We'll catch you soon. Thank you. For all your podcast goodness, make sure you follow us on Spotify, subscribe to us on YouTube, or get us wherever you find your podcasts. Please know 83.5% of retail investor accounts lose money when trading CFDs with this provider.